Hi, and welcome to Game 5 of the UK Premiership League 1 tournaments for here at round 1 of our 22-23 season. So, this is IDK versus Synergy. Obviously, on our 7-game format for League. If you want to know more about how League works, go check out our video that goes into depth on how the system works, on what the 7 games mean, and how it all functions. Obviously, while you're here, make sure to click like and subscribe. So, no more ado, let's get on with the game. Game 1. IDK on red, Synergy on blue, and Game 1 is our freestyle, so standard, no restrictions, HADO. Nice open play there from Synergy and IDK. Two points to 1 lead in the early seconds there for Synergy. Both teams going for firepower builds. No shields from either side. Synergy still just... oh, well. IDK clawed that lead back, step to 3 points apiece. And we know that IDK, even if they're down slightly as they move through the game, there's fantastic acceleration like the last 10 seconds or so of the game. And that's become exceptionally dangerous for any opposing team. IDK now moving ahead just slightly on points. Synergy pulling it back. It's a real even-paced game here. Very nice gameplay from the two. There's that dangerous sort of finishing sprint that IDK have. You need to have a good solid lead in place, and preferably some shields to throw up in their way. Otherwise, they're going to every single time they're going to pull the match back their way in the last few seconds. 2-point lead in the last 10 seconds now for IDK. That's very dangerous. Can't let them have a lead, and those coming into here. Otherwise, you've got no chance. And that is game 1. 9 points to 6 for IDK. Again, if you look at the way that match plays out, that rapid point scoring coming through in the last few seconds there from IDK. Very much a hallmark of their playstyle. Makes them exceptionally dangerous. Doesn't matter what sort of lead you think you're getting, that last sort of like 10-second sprint that they kick in is just deadly to face up against. 20-30% there. Player 4 for Synergy, massively down again on accuracy. Need to really look picking that up across the team. Can't afford to have a player that's that low down, no matter what role they're taking. So prepping up now for game 2. Doing a 100-second recovery. So game 2 is the scale 1 game. So no points spent on scale. Meta here generally seems to be splitting everything across speed and charge rate. Especially, there's going to be a lot of charge rate knocking about, so shields become almost irrelevant here. Anything you put up shielding wise is going to be obliterated in seconds. So unless you're doing it, right at the end of the game, just to give you that final bit of an edge to keep the point score under control, they're very rarely seen. Again, League 1 we tend to see backwall play, very intelligent, active dodging to shift your way out of incoming fire, and overall low point scores because the teams are pretty much on the money when it comes to that static evasion. So here we go, game on. Yep, all pretty standard on the choices there. A little bit of variation from Synergy, but pretty much much of muchness on shot speed and charge rate. Nice evasion, nice movement from both teams. Everyone just getting slowly chipped away at. Good on the spot motion. First point there on the board for IDK. Both teams haven't scored now, coming on the halfway mark. IDK with just a single point lead. Synergy pulling it back. Nicely done. That sprint IDK are capable of, though, they're just as capable of this in this game in that last 10 seconds as any other. So you really need to have a bit of a lead as you come into the closing section of the match if you want to try and take a game from them. 3 points apiece, 20 seconds to play. Really nice motion and movement from both teams here. IDK just with that edge coming to this last 10 seconds, that's really dangerous again. They've got this closing sprint every single time. Just can't afford to give them that point score difference. Good shield there from Paris. Yeah, just guaranteeing there's no way to get a point down that left-hand edge for Synergy. Nice tactical play, good motion both teams. Really, really close game. It's one of those ones that the clashes between Synergy and IDK are getting closer and closer each time. And although IDK are managing to just get that final point or that final score each time, so they're staying ahead on actual games won. Those games are getting closer and closer and closer, and the total score outcomes are not necessarily indicative of just how close these two teams are getting. So it's now 2 games to 0 on this sequence in favour of IDK. See if Synergy can start to pull anything back here. Synergy have previously taken games off of IDK in the league, so they're more than capable of doing it. But whether they can do it today is a different matter entirely. So prepping up for Game 3 now. Game 3 is the 2v2 freestyle, so no restrictions on points. It's all about how well you can work as a team. Can you lock out the opposition? Can you find an enemy team member who you can really sort of focus fire on and try and keep yourselves in a 2v1 format rather than a 2v2 or 2 pairs of 1v1s. So always interesting to see where teams go on this one on their tactics. Generally, we tend to see firepower builds, but it doesn't have to go that way. See if we've got anything different today, or whether both teams have stuck with the sort of standard meta on their stat builds. Yep, 2 firepower builds. Identical across the board there for all 4 players actually. Relatively low charge rate, high speed, reasonable shot size. IDK hanging fairly nicely apart. Synergy starting to move together a bit, which is dangerous. First point's already on the board there for IDK. Generally, the more you move together, the easier it becomes for the other team because they can just crossfire into both of you. Staying separated, they've got to focus fire onto they've got to basically treat you individually, or if they're both firing onto one player, they've got to totally take the pressure off the second player. So IDK slowly getting clipped down. First point on the board there for Synergy. Coming into the final stretch of the game now, 1 point apiece. Really, really close. Very nice movement and position from both teams. IDK just clipping that second point in there. But they are low on life markers, 10 seconds to play. Synergy is certainly capable of pulling this back to even. Not with another point for IDK, they're not. So that's 3 seconds to go. It's IDK's game. So really nice. And again, every time that last quarter of the match there, that IDK sprint, those points racking up. They do it every single time. You've got to have such a big lead before you hit that point, or be ready to drop those shields in to hold them off. But it's game after game. It just doesn't matter how far ahead you think you're getting. That closing sprint is just so dangerous. So, can Synergy pull this back? Obviously, it's still possible at this stage. It was only game 3 of the sequence of 7. So they've got to take everything from here on out if they want to take the match. But still doable. So getting ready now for game 4. Game 4 is the Shields game. So a minimum of 8 points spent across your 3 players on Shield stats. Obviously, we've already seen the boss end up in a forfeit situation because they're failing to achieve this. And I believe there have been forfeits on League 2 and Championship on this round as well. For some reason, the Shield round is causing a huge problem for teams. It's the only game and sequence that we've seen teams forfeit on. But We also know historically this is definitely one of IDK's weaker rounds. So let's see if Sinji can pull something out of the bag here. That is Sinji headsets up, stepping off the court. And Sinji has spent 7 points on shields, so there's an automatic forfeit. Sinji choosing not to play the game. They know they've already lost it. They are forfeiting this round. You cannot afford to forfeit games against Simline IDK. Just giving them a game, that's a problem. Sinji are going to be kicking themselves like mad over that. Yeah, maybe at some point we'll talk to them about that, but I think it's going to be a little while before they're prepared to have a conversation about what went wrong there. But very, very unfortunate. So that is an automatic loss and a 3 point gifted to IDK. And out of every team here, IDK do not need points gifting to them. So, game 5, 1v1 freestyle. Currently 4-0 in this series. Let's see what we can pull out of the bag here. See if Sinji can at least get some points on the board. Just getting prepped up. So, as usual here, we tend to see that high shot speed, high shot size, low charge, 0 shields. See if everyone's just sticking with the standard meta, or whether we're going to get a bit of chaos thrown in the mix. But I would have thought at this level we're going to see fairly sort of standard metas knocking about. Tends to be lower leagues where you get people sort of playing with more non-standard builds. Nearly ready. Last prep being done by the players, and here we go. Game on. Sizing each other up. Yeah, identical builds here. High speed, medium scale. Beautiful one shot there from Sinji. Early points on the board. Now these 1v1s are generally very low scoring. Once anyone starts to get ahead, it is very hard to pull it back. So IDK have got to get a point on the board very soon in order to stay in this game. And as soon as you can get a second point, they're almost guaranteed to win. So close there. Fantastic dodging there by IDK. And IDK have got that point on the board. Shield up just to buy a little bit of breathing space. Let's see where we can go. So coming into the final 20 seconds. We need to build up a little bit of charge. So there's low charge rates, that's difficult to do. So you can get a flurry of shots with that much space to move in, that much focus on your opponent. Single intermittent shots are highly unlikely to find the mark. Closing in on the final 5 seconds, 1 life marker apiece in play. And this is going to overtime. 1 life marker apiece, you don't get anything back. No shields restored. Just got what you've got. First clip, either way, is going to take this. So first knockout scored. Both players here really accurate, really fast on the feet, and that's it. IDK take the game. So close. That could easily have been a Sinji win there. Again, as already said during this sequence of games, these two teams, although IDK are still just managing to take those wins, take those victory points, the difference between them is nowhere near as big as it seems. Even if IDK take this series 7-0, yes, they've won the games, but they've only just won multiple of these games. And it is still just a matter of time for when that flips around, rather than an if. Sinji are without doubt closing on them every round of tournament that we see. And I know IDK are training like crazy to stay ahead, but Sinji are still managing to just edge in round after round in the tournament on them. So getting ready to our prep for game 6. So game 6 is the HADO 20. So 20 points total spend across your team on stats. Obviously, each player starts with a single point in each of the 4 categories, so that's 12 points pre-spent for the players. They would normally, as a team, have 18 bonus points, so 6 points per player. But here they're only allowed to spend 8 of those 18 across their team, with a maximum of 6 on an individual player. So it's always interesting to see where they go. Now, Synergy previously here have gone for shot speed and low charge across the board. And we know last time that happened, that really cost them because the opposing team dropped some shields in the mix, which just totally messed up their low charge rate builds. So let's see where we've gone. They've clearly learned from that. they've got some charge rate on the board there. So not going to let themselves get caught out by shields again. Shields in use from IDK. Obviously they've watched the previous Synergy game and expected them to go low charge rate. Synergy have definitely learned from that though, and got a sensible amount of charge coming in. Shields getting battered away very rapidly there. Not helping the point score though. IDK are still moving ahead on points here. 2-0 at the moment. If you don't have the shot speed in, their IDK are just so good on their footwork and evasion that you're never going to land hits. So you've got to put some points into speed, which they have. They've got that nice split. That's pretty much all of the IDK shields gone now. One shield's been dropped in by Synergy, just give yourself some breathing space. That's first points on the board for Synergy, but that's only 10 seconds left to play. That is too big a lead that IDK have been able to build up. And they were absolutely bang on the money taking that charge speed. They've pulled it back. Fantastic play. Did not see that coming. That last 10 seconds is normally the IDK sprint. Synergy have matched them there. Beautifully bring this back to 3-all. There's no shields in play, so this is just about firepower now. Stat-wise, Synergy's got the edge, but IDK have this horrible habit of just pulling it out of the bag every time. And there they go again. Yeah, 4 points to 3. So close. As you said, although IDK are winning these games, they are very, very close. And although we're currently looking at a clean sheet so far for IDK, it is not painting a fair picture of just how close these games are. So that is game 6. So it's currently 6-0 in favour of IDK, and we're prepping up to move into the 7th and final game. So we're back to our 3v3 freestyle. Generally, we know here IDK have the edge over Synergy on the 3v3 freestyle setup, but as I said, they've been closing on them game on game. We've had a couple of overtimes here. These matches are close. Be interesting to see where Synergy go with this. Obviously, Synergy have just played a back-to-back, so this is their 14th game in a row. During the league setups, the timetabling is done so that every team has a back-to-back. So during the course of the 6 games, 6 matches, every team will play a back-to-back match, meaning that there's an equal amount of pressure on each team going forward. So let's see what Synergy can do. Are they going to be able to take the 7th game from IDK, or are IDK looking at a clean sheet in this match? Clearly, IDK don't need clean sheets, so they've got more than enough wins under the belt. Here we go. So game 7. Are we looking at 2 straight firepower builds again? Or is there any variation in the meta for this game? So interesting, since you've gone shields. So nice turn up in their tactics. No shields up yet though. They must have a timing point for when they're looking to get these up and into play. Okay, 1 point on the board, 2 points on the board now for IDK. Still no shields up from Synergy. Coming up on the halfway mark. Expect to see that first shield up by now. There we go, first shield's up. 40 seconds to play. Not a great angle or position on that shield. Second shield's up. Starting to lock out the centre ground. Still not offering a huge amount of protection for the team though. Those aren't great positions, those shields. Layering up now in the centre there. Very flat on their positions, means they can be angled behind. Normally you'd expect the angling to be slightly more down towards the centre. Good solid block in the centre there, but they're just not capitalising on this at all. I think the shields went up way too late. Not great on the positioning either, I'm afraid. Far much too centred. And the first couple, definitely the angles on them just allowed them to be shot straight behind. So interesting we saw that shift on the build and the meta there. Nice to see something different being tried, but shield positioning and timings were a long way from being the best there, unfortunately. Well-deserved win for IDK, both on the game and the match. So that is all of Synergy's matches played for League One, and all of the bosses matches played for League One. We just our sixth and final matchup coming up next, which will be Rockhoppers versus IDK. Make sure to like and subscribe to get notified as soon as that one goes live.